Baby, this one's for me. This is all for me. That's why while my hair is sluttily down and it was quite sensibly up before, I'm wearing bluey pajamas. Dun 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 dun. In any case, hey everybody, bonus stream, Book of Hunger Names, just do a little bit of audiobook style. Now, I am on parenting duties, so if my little guy starts to wake up, I'm gonna have to pause stream, jump out, take care of that, okay? And by take care of, I mean like gently lull him back to sleep. More than anything else. Tonight for the background music we have first the Cimmerian, the whole album by Ivan Dutch. Details will be in. Oh, fuck it. Let's just send it here, right? This is what I'm listening to. I hope you enjoy. And I'll put those details in the VOD. Otherwise, I'm just going to read a book. And if you're here for it and you want to enjoy it, you're welcome to join me. I may end up playing some Marvel Rivals. Just really depends if my voice gets a bit tired, you know? You'll see. You never visited these woods before, but you feel their spiritual power. The chill winter wind carries a song. It's not too loud, awesome. Nin's howling. You also notice mundane signs of her return. Standing stones righted, statues cleaned of lichen, paths widened and cleared of brush, and, at the very edge of your perception, spirits dancing through the glades along the treetops. Nonetheless, the forest has suffered terribly from spiritual neglect. Dark stains mark the stones, rotting vegetable matter fouls the air, and you find evidence of intrusion by dark spirits. Stained water, dead animals, an occasional cult of Fenris runes that Nin hasn't yet effaced. It will take great spiritual energy to heal this land. Elton is waiting for you. You still haven't earned any gifts, cub. Black Tarn told me about the spirits. I'm sort of hoping that it'll lead Elton into saying more. You've only known Elton for a few weeks, but you know how much he loves explaining things. All spirits are different. Wait, no. Deep British. All spirits are different, Elton says, wandering deeper into the trackless woods. And we're always changing. Let me show you. That's Scottish. Let me show you. The first thing you notice is that Elton's eyes move from one apparently empty point in space to another, as if he's perceiving the spirit world as clearly as you perceive trees and streams. The barrier between worlds is thin here. The Broadbrook Garo have made it that way, made rights and remain in close contact with their spirit allies. What rights have you learned, Penny? When I was closer to Beaver, I could sort of move into Umbra. Your training was unacceptable, Elton says. He talks over you. Fortunately, Catherine and I rewrote the old Broadbrook rite to detect the local spirits. It used to require an elaborate ritual. Now only a few gestures are necessary. He hands you a double-sided piece of paper with diagrams that at first look like dance steps. You can use a knife, a claw, really anything, the Shadow Lord says. Our elders did all the hard work hundreds of years ago. You're just flipping a light switch. Oh, you get it. They're movements of a blade. You're sort of parting the local space to peer into the Umbra. It won't work outside Broadbrook, but it'll let you interact with the spirits here. It'll take you a few minutes to read it, a few hours to memorize it. But you didn't use this, you say. Elton's eyes still sometimes dart to something you can't see. He's not holding a knife. Owl's gift, the Shadow Lord says. Owl herself is circling over us right now. Of course, she's also nearly everywhere, with me, with other Guru who are blessed with their seeing gift, and everywhere in the spirit world. In other lands, other spirits grant a gift like her. Spiders, wolves, eagles. Spirits grant gifts, but it is the connection between your nature and the spirit that creates a gift. But it's not just that, right? It's also what I've done. My legend, Clay called it. It seems your old pack taught you the words. It seems that your old pack taught you the words, Elton says with sudden anger, if not what to do with them. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sound as if I'm angry at you. They should have helped you more. Penny, we are creatures of flesh and also spirit, and where those materials intersect, we are also creatures of legend. I know it's a bit overblown to talk that way, but it's true. Glory, honor, wisdom, the truths around which we live that shape our existence as Guru. His fingers twitch, writing Guru glyphs in the air almost faster than you can see. They're solid things to us, as real as gravity. That's what I think your pack failed to impress upon you. These are what we offer their spirits, our legends. But our accomplishments are not consumed in earning a gift. They are given meaning. And as the spirits feed, they grow strong. Look at this ruined land. You can see what you cannot, but you can feel the deep wounds in the forest, the decay that's setting in. Earn your legend, and we can heal this land, Elton says. Though the spirits demand more than mere deeds, they are bound by ancient laws to serve only certain guru. So where are the Theurge spirits, you ask? Yes, sometimes they only serve certain auspices or tribes, but it's more than that. You must find spirits here whose natures accord with your own. Can I speak to the spirits without joining a tribe? I don't want to overstep my authority. I ask my spirits that, Elton says. That's not exactly customary, but we need all the help we can get. As long as you meet the necessary requirements and perform the necessary shimenage, the spirits will help you. Shimenage? That's the term I learned, Elton says. I don't think anyone in the Americas still uses it. In Germany, clocks all very efficient. We learned to organize our obligations to the spirits around nights of shimenage. Fixed spans of service, no more, no less, because the spirits will take more if they can. Don't let them. Always ask them, how many nights of shimenage for this gift? We've made sure that they have to answer truthfully. Never give them more. If you do, they really will feed off your legend, stealing your spiritual power and giving nothing back. Elton stops and fishes his bicycle out of a stream. It can't roll with only one wheel, so he leaves it leaning against a tree trunk. I'll get that if Nin doesn't, he mutters. Cool, what a mess. You blink, because you think you saw something in the water, but when you look again, it's gone. So, how do I join a tribe? My, aren't you ambitious? Elton says. Let's get you something nice to wear and we'll introduce you to... Do you have a preference, or will any tribe do? Well, you say, trying not to be annoyed by Elton's sarcasms. I had considered both the Ghost Council and the Children of Gaia, but if you don't... I'm sorry, I'm just yanking your tail, Elton says. And the truth is, you're going to want to speak to the patron spirits. We need more true Garu. It can't just be Nin and me. There are ancient statues out here in the woods. Seek them out, learn from them. Then he sniffs the air. What, you ask? There's a petrochemical runoff from a plant that was closed back in the 60s here, Elton says. I've been meaning to check it out for years. I'm going to do that. He takes your hand in his, a sincere sign of respect to the werewolf who helped him rescue Nin. Wander the woods today, learn from the spirits, and only offer the agreed-upon nights of shimenage. He hurries off, almost angrily, leaving you deep in the woods. Shimenage possible. Honor 7. Wisdom 4. Well, let's scout the woods, noting the standing stones and other interesting features. And then hopefully we'll talk to the spirits soon. Hopefully it'll let us do both. We'll see. Nin, visible only as a swishing red tail in the snow, leads you to each of the major features of the deep woods. Ancient statues rise from the rocky soil, some so old that they're almost features of the landscape. Both their antiquity and their abstract style tell you that they predate the arrival of the Europeans. These must have been the creations of indigenous Garu who had a material culture distinct from that of the human population. 3 patron spirit statues stand in a circular glade, facing each other. You have a hard time stepping into the center of the glade, where their gazes intersect. Despite the statue's great age, you think you can recognize the single horn of unicorn, patron of the children of Gaia, the crown of stag, patron of the heart wardens, and the serpents of Gorgon, patrons of black furies. Of course, those are just the names Black Tarn taught you. Who knows what a snake-trussed deer woman meant to the people who settled these lands during the last ice age? You also find a smashed statue. This one is of much more recent design, 20th century, inspired by the surrealism of Guy Sarge and Salvador Dali, unless you miss a yes. It once depicted a falcon with an open door for a head. Deeper in the woods, you find a huge stone table, like the round table in the children's book you once had. Once mirror bright, it's covered in leaves and detritus. When you clear away some of the debris, you realize that you're looking at parts of some kind of huge machine. You're reminded of pictures in the Aztec sunstone from history books in school. Except this wasn't just a single piece of stone. You can see how the huge blocks fit together, and you can imagine how the whole thing would have moved. The images aren't Aztec or Mayan either. They're simple images, clean and elegant, not crowded into their cartouches or folded up like proteins the way Central and South American pictographs often are. Deer, axe, crescent, sunburst. The swirling lines tell you that these marks were carved directly into the stone with very, very sharp claws. This is Garou work. The calendar of Selendari. The calendar of Saladi. There you go. Nin says from behind you. She's in her homemade form, dressed in a long, ragged black gown, like Black Tan used to wear. It broke, was destroyed during the Battle of Graves Farm. A Bane called down thunder with his left hand and shattered it. Did it record the litany? I've always been fascinated by different ways of preserving Garou knowledge. I think it shaped the litany, Nin says. At least for Broadbrook. It shaped how the Garou related to the spirit world. It gave them, us, authority, and helped us work together as a nation, not just as scattered tribes. All that's just dust now, I guess. Though Elton says it's possible to rebuild it, I don't know how. Still, I wish we could. We'd all be much better off. Once you have a full day off from Byzance, you meet with Nin at Elton's flat to review what you've found so far. The Galliard has cleared and cleaned the calendar's central wheel deep in her forest, but that's not the only part. Fortunately, Elton is a competent investigator now that he's shaken up some of his spiritual lethargy. He's tracked the calendar's frame down in their old Garou temple, where his patron spirit, Vahan, presides, and he and Nin were able to locate the smaller pieces in a garage north of town. That means you have everything you need. The next question is where to put it. That requires you and Elton to investigate property deeds and figure out exactly what all these dead Garou and the members of the three families actually owned around town, and what hasn't passed on to heirs or fallen into legal limbo. Cross-referencing that surprisingly paltry list with spiritually auspicious locations, you eventually find an abandoned mill in Florence. Intermittently restored and then abandoned for long stretches since the disastrous Mill River flood of 1874, it's a cursed spot, shunned by humans. Some places the people of the map instinctively avoid, and while you're not sure if it's a supernatural property of the land or some instinct for self-preservation, it seems like no one wants to get near the old mill. And Elton's late wife Catherine purchased the location from one Linda Palace a few years back, almost certainly for exactly this kind of project, which means Elton legally owns it. Over the next few days, in between human work and lupus patrols, you and your packmates clean up the ruined mill. The transport operation is massive, requiring Lucinda to rent a flatbed. Hobland and Roscoe remove all the pieces into the mill, one piece at a time, under cover of night. Lucinda also manages to talk to some stone workers, there are a lot of them in this town, and construct replacement parts for the two damaged pieces. Final assembly requires ropes, pulleys, and Nin in her hispo form hooked up to some kind of yoke like a buffalo. She's a sport about it, though. Finally, the calendar of Seladi is complete. The calendar is a polished stone disc, 6.5 feet across, raised up against the mill's brick wall. Simple and elegant carvings mark out regions of umbral space, the spirit kings that rule this land. Falcon and spider, the winds and the rivers, gods and mighty ancestors. A beautifully carved stone framework in 3 pieces covers the polished stone, hiding or revealing different markings. Smaller clips and frames of the same polished stone guide the system. It moves like a clock, but not through any normal mechanism. Umbral winds brush against the massive edifice, causing its wheels to shift and flow around one another, offering spirit secrets to those among the Garou who can learn to read the glyphs and asserting Broadbrook's authority to rule this land. Though your human companions held up well enough around Nin in her hispo form, something about how the calendar of Saladi moves in the umbral wind is more than they can handle. Elton gets them out of there. But the same spiritual currents that will eventually drive a human into delirium reveal to you the secrets of the Umbra. The calendar of Saladi is a grand table of correspondences, connections, occult links, ties of obligation and spiritual authority radiate out from Saladi, the moon, and from Arav and Spandaramet, the sun and the earth, to connect you with the gods and spirits of this land. There's a crescent moon slowly revealing itself behind the stone framework, and the spirits linked to it. And there are Northwind and Horn Serpent, gods once cloaked in shadow, now suddenly revealed. Subtle connections unfold in your mind. The calendar of Zaladia lets you join the Galestalker and Ghost Council tribes. Also grants members of any tribe access to more gifts. Sweet. The urge. 2 rage. Pretty good. We're a big nerd. I remember that now. Yeah, big nerd. That's where it is. Persuasion's pretty high too. Litany sustains as humans must understand. Spirit. We can still win. I have no time to train you. Okay. Relationships. Who do we like? 0 does with Elton. What the fuck's going on? Thought it's in there. That's pretty good. Okay. Return to the winter woods. Nina's testing her climbing skills on the trees and cliffs in a glabro form. Honor and wisdom. I seek out the spirits of the woods to learn their natures. Hold on. Nothing more. Okay. Deep woods. Spirits of the woods. Following Nin's song, you wind through hidden paths and over frozen brooks, including a river that hums with umbral power, seeking the spirits behind the animals you see. Squirrel is everywhere, of course, leaping from tree to tree, eternally hunted by fox and owl, whose eyes gleam with hidden secrets. Trout dances in the brooks, leaping into the sunlight before plunging back into the depths. Though you don't see him, wildcat's claws have scored the trees. Porcupine bumbles and bristles. Crow studies you for weakness or treats. Deeper in the shadows of the oldest woods, you hear whippoorwill calling the spirits of the dead. Butterfly is here despite the season, proud as a jeweled empress. And of course, I am here too. Maybe I've become a bit of a city cat lately, but my power is in the wild places and in the sky. Follow the storm paths and you will find me. Follow the cold wind, the killing Atlantic gale, and you might find something worse. Then you feel the earth move beneath your feet. Massive, implacable, older than stones. The bear spirits. Look at them all. Jeez. Cold wind, something worse. Storm paths. Let's try that. Anything? Storm paths. Have I gone immediately past it? No? Okay. Follow the river. Looking for spirits or powers. It's not much of a river, at least compared to the mighty Connecticut, but you can feel its spiritual power and authority. Not everything that appears small in the physical world is inconsequential in the Umbra. The humans of this land learned that lesson 150 years ago when the Mill River shattered its dam and tore through the surrounding towns, killing over 100 people in minutes. As the spirit churns in the night sky like a dragon of black water, it sings its rage. The humans bound it without ceremony, and so it killed them without regret. Even for a spirit that despises humans and has no particular love of Guru, one can approach them in the right way or the wrong way. Mill River was approached in the wrong way. Its rage still burns. And yet, quite suddenly, the dragon becomes a man dragon, like Scamander in the Iliad, a helmeted and armored figure with a spear and a golden serpent's tail, his hair and beard red gold. Classical allusions swirl around him like the muses around Apollo, like the cattle of the sun on the island of Thrinacia, something like that. Anyway, human culture, not just human industry, has shaped the Mill River, giving him a godly form, which he seems to enjoy, at least for his destructive powers. Using Mill River's gift, ancient treaties forbid Mill River from materializing in all his terrible power, but he is still an invaluable ally to the Guru. A god of shattered dams and rising water, Mill River can pin your enemies down in mud, giving you time to escape, or kill them at leisure. His influence is limited to natural earth, mud, and sand. He can't liquefy rock or asphalt. Invoking the spirit uses rage and is focused through your resolve, earning Mill River's gift. Mill River offers its gift, his gift, it's just swirling dragon again, to Red Talons and Guru of the Ghost Council. Even if you joined one of those tribes, you would need both greater wisdom and less respect for humanity in order to make a compact with the river god. It requires 5 nights of wise Shimanashi. I met an anglerfish once, Nin says. She's standing on the horizontal limb of an ancient fir, wearing a Palace and Thunderland shirt and holding what appears to be medieval loot. An anglerfish, you say. He was a big anglerfish with 3 girls who stuck out the top, and the anglerfish lived in a pond, and it used the girls to lure in boys, and then it ate them. That wasn't allowed, so when I told Jane, she went and killed it. But the point is that we are the anglerfish and the spirits are our food, but they don't die when we eat them, unlike those boys. A kind of alchemy happens. You nod. You have no idea what Ned is talking about. I'm not explaining clearly, the Galliard says. Do you want a gift? She walks down the trunk of the tree, strumming her lute. What gift is that? If you want a gift, you need to offer the spirits something to lure them in, something bright and flashy. Dreams of the future disgust at humanity's excess, respectability. Every spirit has a favorite flavor, and you lure them in with that, and the scary thing, they bite it right off. Snap. Why did you care so much about the Lindy before? But that is how you win their gifts. Expect to be eaten, Penny, or at least chewed on. It's very surprising when it happens, but it's worth it. Nin steps around the trunk of a tree, walking horizontally. When you step around it to find her, she's gone. Jeez, okay, well, where are these bear spirits? I cautiously approach them. You look around just to make sure there's no one here, but you're all alone. You pull out the notes Elton gave you. Elton's paper contains a series of gestures to be executed with a flick of a knife or claw that will part the barrier between worlds and allow a perceptive goer to see into the spirit world. It's right, specifically created for Broad Brook, which won't work elsewhere, and it's not a simple formula. The movements change based on the phase of the moon, your own auspice, and certain abstract spiritual conditions, so you have to test with a different set of gestures. Back with your old pack, you found these kind of rites murky and opaque, full of stumbling blocks that, in retrospect, might have existed only to give the guru who mastered them a feeling of power and superiority. By contrast, this rite is diamond clear. Under other circumstances, it would be interesting to study how computer science has influenced even these guru who are not themselves proficient with programming. This rite, which has apparently existed in different forms for centuries or even millennia, is now a sequence of if-then instructions, but you don't have time for theory. You reread this section relevant to Athea as you draw your knife and flick it through the air, testing the conditionals. Faint lateral resistance. What does that mean? Okay, a rev is writing. A rev is the local name for the sun god, and if he's writing, flip, flip. You need to make 3 incisions from upper left to lower right. That's what you do, and your knife seems to be able to move freely, and the tip vanishes. Following the next set of instructions, you slice the barrier between worlds open. And there is the Umbra, the realm of spirit. The stars are down here, or you're up there with them. They shine like paper lanterns, wise and clever spirits swirling around your head, but are also impossibly huge balls of phosphorescent gas millions of miles across, both at once and neither. A world of uncompromising truth that does not care what mortals or werewolves think. Simultaneously, a shadow reality shaped by your thoughts, needs, and fears. It's only a window, you remind yourself. You probably won't fall in, and it will close in a few minutes. Finding the bears is the first challenge. Open up Grinder. They are so vast, the spirits are so all-encompassing that they seem to be all around you. But finally you realize that they're beneath you. It takes hours to find the Cave of Bears. These spirits are ancient. Picking your way over the bones, you study the shadows of the great bear spirits, as it seems imprudent to look at them directly. There's a whole family here, but only 3 acknowledge you in any way. The younger bears must not have any spiritual connection to Seladi, the local goddess of the moon, or the guru. Mother bear and father bear both look your way, their movements slow, immense, geological, using father bear's gift. Father bear enhances the guru's berserk fury when in Krina's form. Earning Father Bear's gift. After the Battle of Graves Farm, Father Bear no longer contracts with Garou except for a wolf-born Arun. He must spend the next geological age attending to shapeshifters of his own type. However, an ancestral spirit has taken over his duties. You would need a Silver Fang or some other death wolf to explore these barrows and find the ancestral spirit Father Bear describes. Using Mother Bear's gift. Mother Bear lets you expend rage to heal your allies. The effectiveness of her gift relies on your composure. Was that one was, yeah, 3 dots, not bad. That's not bad. I like that. Earning Mother Bear's gift. Mother Bear has sworn oaths to Seladi as the crescent moon, but though she respects your spiritual nature, she requires you to earn more glory before she trusts you to heal her warriors. Mother Bear requires 3 nights of glorious Shimanage. There's a 3rd bear down here that calls to you, but you struggle to perceive it. Picking your way over bones and around pillars of stone, you feel the air grow bitterly cold. The other spirits watch as you approach Grandfather Bear, ancient spirit of the freezing wind. You know enough to stop before you get too close. You feel the cold radiating off Grandfather Bear, even as you feel the heat of the other spirits. This is a power of mountain winds and icy death. Using Grandfather Bear's gift, his ancient spirit of deadly winter hurls blasts of ice wind at your enemies, at anyone and anything, really. Better be careful. The gift burns rage and is focused through your resolve. Grandfather Bear is a grim spirit of suffering. The more injured you are, the colder he is, as if he has the power to convert your lost blood into frozen death. Earning Grandfather Bear's gift. Grandfather Bear offers his gift of icy death only to Gale Stalkers. Though you have shown yourself to be honourable, you are too jocular and playful, like a cub, for Grandfather Bear's tastes. Grandfather Bear requires 5 nights of honourable Shiminashi. Can't get any of them. See? Don't have glorious ritual. Okay, follow Al. Al swoops and waits. Al watches. And seeing all, Al knows when to strike. When time is right, she kills. You don't need Al to teach you how to kill, you're a werewolf. But her eyes pierce darkness and mist. Her ears hear the rustling of mice under 3 feet of snow. She can open your senses, letting you experience everything around you. Using Al's gift, Al hones and expands your senses in this world and in the Umbra. While you can usually perceive her own spirits, Al will let you see clearly into the spirit world. Her gift works automatically as long as you haven't lost the wolf and requires your composure. Earning Al's gift. Wolf and Al were close friends once, and Al permits any guru to share in her gifts, so long as they show sufficient wisdom and dignity and are willing to perform 3 nights of Shiminache. You can number yourself among the moderately wise, but Al finds you too light-hearted for her tastes. Oh, we make too many jokes. Okay, I study the squirrel spirits. Least and humblest of the local spirits, squirrel is ubiquitous, hardworking, and forward-thinking. You gotta be able to bury enough nuts so you can survive the winter. Squirrel is surviving off of spirit nuts right now, but the principle is the same. But something has agitated the numerous squirrel spirits in the woods, and every time you approach, they leap away. That's not surprising, since that's the gift a squirrel spirit offers. Leaping, running, balancing, and a hasty escape. But they're really upset about something. You might have to sort that out. Using Squirrel's gift. Works automatically, as long as you haven't lost a wolf, to improve your ability to leap, climb, and balance. Relies on composure. Earning Squirrel's gift. Ancient pacts between Squirrel and Saladi, Spirit of the Moon, permit Guru of any auspice to receive Squirrel's gift with 3 nights of Shiminache, as long as they've earned sufficient glory and are capable of thinking about the future. Squirrel is impressed by your farsightedness, but this little spirit thinks you're not enough of a warrior yet. How insulting. Jeez, alright. I follow the butterfly spirit to learn about the gift she can offer a Guru. I'd love to get one before I run out of steam and end the stream. You know, that'd be nice. Isn't she beautiful? She's no butterfly species you've ever seen before, and every time you look at her, she changes, but she's dazzling every time. And you think she can make you like her. With Butterfly's blessing, you can dazzle, delight, and charm. Sure, it's a superficial delight and it only works on humans, but it's awfully hard to look away. Enhances social skills, but only with humans. Relies on composure. Only offers her fickle attention to galliards or glasswalkers. But if you swore yourself to Spider, your honor is sufficient to earn her respect and her gift. 3 nights of vulnerable Shiminache. Each night you must make and then forget a new friend among the human world. I haven't sworn myself to Spider. I'm not a galliard and I'm not a glasswalker. I have the honor. Oh, well, Wildcat. You don't see Wildcat, but her claw marks shimmer in your vision. Umbral slashes against physical trees. You follow the trail and catch only the slightest glimpse of the, you're guessing a bobcat since those are only big cats regularly found in this area. But then she's gone, leaving only her claw marks. Of course, it's obvious what she can teach you. How to hone your claws to razor's edge and tear your enemies to pieces. Combat skills, as long as you're using claws. Dexterity. Wildcat only treats with full moon werewolves or red talons. You would need to pledge fealty to Mirakinox, Onyx, and glory in battle, and hone your contempt for humanity to receive her gift. Requires 4 nights of glorious Shiminache. Each night, you must destroy an object from the human world that has intruded upon the wild places. Interestingly, you also find what appear to be larger claw marks. A bear spirit on the move? You're not sure? Nope, can't do wildcat. Porcupine. Porcupine tells you a story as you follow him. Once, he says, the gods played a trick on mankind and took from him the secret of art to see how he would perish. But mankind still had his old cunning, and he spoke to the clever spirits. He spoke to thunder and raven and the cleverest of the rivers, and learned the great secrets of bringing about his will. He had learned about ritual and sacrifice, the secret means that the gods kept for themselves. And so horrified were the gods by the cleverness of man that they begged man to take back his arts. So the gods ran about and one by one returned to man his arts, fire making their return to him, and basket weaving, and how to make and use medicine. But the gods realized they couldn't find two arts, clothing and weapons. They looked everywhere, but by the time it took the gods to gather up all the other arts, clothing and weapons had run off together and fallen in love. This was, of course, forbidden, and moreover, the gods had promised mankind his arts back, knowing that without clothing and weapons, mankind would start working rituals of regalia and destruction. The gods sent their most eloquent speakers to plead. Raven and fox and bright rain all spoke, without success. But then a humble creature appeared, of the retinue of rat, but less even than the mouse, and said, "Let me reason with them." And he convinced clothing and weapons to return to mankind. The gods, who promised everything to whoever could restore the last of their arts, immediately forgot the little animal, since gods are forgetful. The animal went to clothing and weapons and reminded them of the deal, but clothing and weapons just laughed. But the animal knew what he was doing, and he took the love child of clothing and weapons and raised it as his own. And since he had witnessed the cleverness of man in turning to ritual and sacrifice, he sacrificed that child when it came of age, and draped the child's skin over his body. Stealing the power of clothing and weapons, that humble animal, the retinue of rat, but lesser even than mouse, had clothing and weapons, and became Porcupine. And you'd better not mess with Porcupine. Using Porcupine's gift, the Justice Little Black Fury yearns for instantaneous retaliation, so no one gets confused about the power of vengeance. When someone hurts you, they instantly suffer the pain of Porcupine's quills. This effect usually manifests as coincidental disasters such as bad falls or bullet ricochets. This effect is automatic and relies on your stamina. Offers his gift to half-moon werewolves and Guru who swear themselves a Gorgon, patron of the Black Fury tribe. If you want his gift, you must first impress the goddess of vengeance with glory earned in battle, and understand Porcupine's origin and the arts and practices of humanity. If you proved yourself to Gorgon, you'd think you'd understand humanity well enough to earn Porcupine's gift. Porcupine asked for 3 nights of glory, Shiminache, so you can tell more stories. That's pretty good. I watched trout in his brook. Both predator and prey, trout is always moving, always shifting, always leaping to seek advantage. That's impressive since right now it's winter and even a spirit should be frozen under the ice. Trout grants a heightened sense of danger, allowing you to react instinctively to threats and avoid harm. Acts automatically to warn you of danger, using to evade an attack relies on composure. Trout only grants his gift to full moon werewolves and members of the secretive Ghost Council. And even if you swore yourself to the great serpent Vishap, he would want to see more prudence before he agreed to teach you. Trout requires 3 nights of Shiminache, most of it spent in lupus form, learning to hunt and to be hunted, and to accept the wisdom of this. Fox Spirit to learn more about him. The fox spirit spins and dances, twisting, breaking apart, reassembling with 9 tails or 7 faces, and vanishes behind the wind, only to emerge again, spread across a dozen impossible angles. Confusion, misdirection, and the clean scent of running water, a spirit of trickery, to hide your tracks from cops, journalists, and the more serious pursuit of professional hunters. Fox hides your tracks, both literally and metaphorically, so you can escape pursuit. He's especially good at hiding it from Lifli. Oh, what's that, Sherry? You are surprised that Fox is not merely Fox, but Reynard? C'est vrai. Reynard came down to Nouvelle-Angleterre with the first trappers. But do not worry, even here he knows how to escape the pigs, the swine, those who would hunt you down. Even better, Reynard hides your tracks, even if your rage is exhausted. Magnifique, non? Earning Reynard's gift. Reynard only grants his sneaky gift to Les Nouvelles Lunes and werewolves of the Silent Strider and Red Talon tribes. Even if you swore yourself to Samoa Cheetah and showed exceptional wisdom, Reynard still thinks you're a bit self-serious. The fox spirit teaches his tricks and bestows his gifts across 5 nights of Shiminache in the form of sacred laughter and celebration. A blessing of wisdom. I would love to have fox. I follow the cry of the whippoorwill. Local folklore says that whippoorwills carry away the souls of the dead, gathering in huge numbers around the houses of witches as they lie in their final agonies, eager to drag their spirits off to hell. The whippoorwill also has a dire reputation among the Garou, as some werewolves associate the birds with the black spiral dancers, werewolves who serve the worm. You follow the distinctive call into woods so thick that the sky is entirely hidden, and spot the little brown bird perched on a log. Using Whippoorwill's gift teaches the song of the moon path, which allows for safe travel through dangerous physical or spiritual terrain. Whippoorwill only offers his gift to wolf-born galliards. He's quite insistent on this. Garou born of humanity have mistreated his children by using them to call up the dead, and though he's courteous to you, he would not teach you, even if you were a galliard. It's interesting that Scarpa knew a similar gift, but he learned it from Goose. You've seen plenty of geese, but no goose around Broadbrook, so you're not sure you have any way to learn this gift. I watch the crow spirit. Crow flies higher than the other winged spirits. There are many crow spirits, of course, but this one is unusually powerful and cunning, almost strong enough to be a pack's guardian. Strong and clever, fond of humanity and its trinkets, Crow is nonetheless dangerous and must be approached with care. Using Crow's gift, Crow lets you steal the supernatural power of other creatures. An enemy werewolf's gifts, a spirit's charms, even a warlock's magic. You can't take power from a packmate or another ally. It must be an act of theft. While you possess a stolen magic, your enemy cannot use it. And you can. Stealing a power requires rage, while using it relies on your resolve. Crow loses a stolen power if you frenzy, and can only claim one power at a time. Crow only reveals his trick to Ragabash of peerless honor, or similarly respected members of the Ghost Council. If you swore yourself to the Vishap, Crow is impressed enough by your love of humanity that he would show you his trick. His powerful spirit requires 6 nights of honorable Shimanage, and from what you can ascertain, a certain amount of property crime to earn the gift. Well, I'm fucking excited. That sounds great, but the Vishap. Ghost Council. I mean, that's fascinating. What happened to this falcon statue? And can I restore it? Even after several years, signs of fighting mire the woods around the shattered falcon statue. You pick up bullet casings and note claw marks in a nearby birch tree. A battle that sprawls across several acres and ends with the sad find of human phalanges held together by grisly scraps of skin. A werewolf died here, and in dying reverted to his human form. The spirit of the statue is gone. Did the spirit die when the statue fell, or did the spirit's death shatter the statue? Who can say? But even as you study the rubble, you feel a new spirit nearby, one yet unborn. Spirit presses against the walls of reality, asking you to build a place where it might abide. You see the shape of the falcon of many faces, and you know how to build him to make him real. He promises the languages of birds and beasts and command over the creatures of Gaia. A modest outlay for supplies, a trip to Lucinda, to have a place to work, and you could call down the falcon using the falcon gift. Broadbrook's falcon gives spirits grant you the power to communicate with and command birds and beasts. Playing this gift requires rage and relies on your composure. They're called a falcon, like the Silver Fang's patron spirit. This falcon is actually closer to the Heart Warden and Silent Strider tribes. The only way this new spirit would agree to teach you is if you swore yourself to Stag or Simmer, but if you join the Warders or Striders, you're confident that your honor and your commitment to the litany would earn this spirit's respect. After an initial outlay to rebuild the physical statue, you'd need 4 nights in Honorable to earn the gift. However, in exchange for this work, the spirit promises to tell you the blackbirds and starlings about your honorable deeds, in addition to granting you this gift. I look at the statue of Stag. This is the most representational of the statues in the glade, though the antlers sweep out behind Stag like twin labyrinths spiraling across his flanks and trailing off to the branches of nearby trees. The maze patterns remind you of Celtic art, depictions of Cernunnos, the god of the hunt, though this clearly isn't human work, but the product of a distinct Garou material culture. From certain angles, the antlers seem to go on forever. Joy, beauty, friendship, weakness, many Garou would say, yet the Heart Wardens are one of the strongest tribes, guardians of the living earth and its wild beauty, and the protectors of the intricate network of guest-host relationships that define civilization, human or Garou. The oldest stories are about the hunt, But the second oldest are about strangers. What do we owe each other? Who is this stranger at the door? Who is this figure who promises shelter? Who are we to each other? Zeus, Xenios, patron of foreigners, guide my words, or else harsh words turn to bloodshed, vendetta, and the false rage of kinslaying. Gifts, Song of War, Holds the Dawn, Barrows, Banish Sorcery and Evil Power, The Wardstone, Barrows, Blessed Brew, Turfside Diner, The Urban Blight. Speak to Animals, The Falcon with Many Faces, Woods. Favor. Stag blesses different wardens in different ways, but this statue offers joy, understanding, and elegant speech, which manifests itself as increased persuasion and wits. Barn, or ban. Heart wardens are sworn to protect those under their charge. If a warden's fellow guru suffer harm because of his choices, he loses honor. Joining a tribe requires three things. First, you must want to follow the teachings of the tribe's patron spirit, as represented by who you are, your goals, beliefs, and motivations. Tribes are multifaceted and often have multiple ways to approach their patron spirit, but you must be in accord with that godlike power in at least some way. Second, most patron spirits demand at least a minimum degree of accomplishment in the three ways guru make their legends: glory, honor, or wisdom. Finally, you'll need another spirit to help you approach their patrons here. That's where I come in. Yes, hello again. It's your favorite, much diminished guardian spirit, the Stormcat. I'm not going to vouch for you unless you show me you can build a pack. I know that's an unfair thing to ask a cub, but it's an unfair age of the world, isn't it? Look at the unfairness of this humble body I occupy. Find the other guru penny, then perhaps I'll whisper your name to the greater powers, and we can help each other solve our problems. Stag is associated with the glory of the hunt, and more importantly, the return. You think you must pursue more deeds of glory before the stag will acknowledge you. The good news is that wardens emphasize two great and somewhat paradoxical virtues: joy in tradition, joy at friends made, and oaths of fellowship sworn, the tradition of the litany to make those fellowships real and lasting. While you're more sober-minded than many, you respect the traditions of the Garu and the ancient ways of guest and host. But though your nature pleases stag, you'll need the Stormcat's blessing, which means finding more Guru. Damn it, so close. Inspect the statue of Gorgon to learn about the Black Furies. Did it move? Are the snakes moving? You circle the statue. Of course not. Just the shifting way the sunlight moves through the trees across the mirror's suggestion of serpents. The whole statue is a suggestion of serpents, of leonine paws, of a woman's face twisted in wrath. It's somehow noble in its righteous fury. You remember the Black Tarn was sworn to this tribe. Perhaps to this very statue. You never learned where she came from. Like Elton, she was a scholar and seeker first, but you feared her rages, even though she never turned them on you. She was an avenger, a guardian, and, when she saw the weak suffer, a demon of wrath. But again, she was a theurge first, indifferently committed to Gorgon. Could you follow her? What rage waits within your heart, ready to be unleashed against those who torment the weak? How would you know when to stop? Gorgon answers you with the movements of her serpents. You will never stop. Apollo and his children lied. No law ever came from on high to banish the Chthonian rage of the downtrodden. Kill and kill for 1,000 years, and you will never turn the tide of injustice. But through wrath and ruin, you might just save Gaia. Maybe then you can ask yourself if it's possible to go too far. Gifts, instant retaliation, Porcupine Woods. Track the wounded, Kali, the Urban Blight. Superior aim, Yuhi, the Urban Blight. City secrets, Pankiller, Barrows. Favor. Gorgon is a spirit of swift and terrible justice. She hones her servants into living instruments of her wrath by increasing their dexterity and intimidation. Barn. Gorgon's rage can be blind and uncompromising. First, a Black Fury cannot advance his awareness. Second, a Fury who loses his rage because he backed down from a confrontation also loses glory. Gorgon is associated with the glory of justice extracted in pounds of flesh, and you think you must seek out more victories if you're to join her. The good news is that the Black Furies focus on wielding rage as a weapon to protect regular people from the depredations of the strong, while you are more focused on spiritual matters and stoking the flames of your rage. You genuinely care for regular people. And Gorgon knows you'd fight for them. Though your nature pleases Gorgon, you'll need the Stormcat's blessing, which means finding more Guru. Okay, cold wind. A twisting ribbon of cold air snakes through the forest. So cold in winter that it's almost painful when you brush against it. You follow the cold wind and imagine ships encased in ice. Climbing, then scrambling up an icy cliff takes you so far above the tree line that you can see Northampton City Hall and the spire of the Edwards Church. Here the air is bitterly cold and clear, as if it's blowing directly off the North Atlantic. So this is what you were promised. This is the nor'easter, the ice wind of New England. You're 100 miles inland, but gods roam where they will, and the ice wind is a mighty god. Marks in the bare stone here: English, Armenian, Greek, Hebrew. The marks are effaced beyond legibility, decades or centuries old. Garou glyphs encircle some, while others might have been the work of human occultists trying to tame this spirit. Solomonic seals and atropaic signs cover the rocks. You can read appeasing prayers to this spirit, whom the European settlers, possibly educated in the classics, call Kaikias, animos of the northeast wind, patron of the gale stalkers. For a moment you perceive the god as these terrified settlers must have glimpsed him, a blue-black man with a wild beard and a cape of hailstones raging in the heavens. And then you see only the stars. Superior stealth, banishee, sorcery and evil power, yeah. Gale stalkers learn to endure. Kaikias blesses them with superior resolve and hones their survival skills. Gale stalkers are sworn to the hunt. Even more so than the other werewolves, compelled by their patron spirit, they must hunt and kill every day, which carries you far from your pack, both physically and emotionally. Gale stalkers find it harder to form bonds with their fellows. Despite the aloofness of Gale stalkers, Kaikias is associated with honor. You may remain away from your pack, but you must be loyal. You've impressed Kaikias with the honor you've accrued among Garou spirits, and furthermore, your dour personality is enough like the ice winds that he is willing to overlook your foolish optimism. Though your beliefs are those of a Gale Stalker, you'll need the Stormcat's blessing. Unicorn. Scarpa called the patron spirit of the children of Gaia, Kardakan, and said that the tribe arose around the earliest cities. The early glasswalkers, with a different name, of course, before glass, and bone gnawers sought to live in the cities. Most other tribes tried to destroy them, but Kardakan sought a synthesis, a new beginning, a new pattern, sweeping away of old rot, a spiritual revolution. This ancient figure is neither a unicorn nor a killin or anything else that lived in North America. It is instead a yearning shaped into stone, a desire not to transcend or escape rage, but to unlock its true purpose, live with it, to live with all things, to live in Gaia. Heal. Shatter bonds, balance, open locks. Unicorn blesses her followers with clarity of spirit in the form of increased composure and awareness. Servants of truth and enemies of mindless rage, children of Gaia assure deception and belligerence. A child of Gaia cannot advance his subterfuge, and a child of Gaia who escalates an argument to gain rage loses wisdom. Unicorn is associated with wisdom, a renown you must continue to develop and then offer to the spirits of the land if you want to join the children of Gaia. The good news is that her followers cultivate their spiritual focus and their selfless pursuit of knowledge. And both of these motivations are in accord with your own beliefs. But though your nature pleases Unicorn, you'll need the Stormcat's blessing. Okay, so larger and more terrible claw marks. I think we're going to have to leave with nothing. This is a shame. The trail of destruction is easy to follow at first, but you abruptly find yourself without any clear direction to where to go. You retrace your steps, lose your way again, try again. Once again, wander deep into the woods without finding any physical or spiritual evidence of your quarry. You're missing something. Some map, some clue. You're not sure what it might be. All right, let's leave the woods. You're cutting through the woods where they abut the barrows when Nin bursts out of the foliage in a lupus form, followed by Whippoorwill. The spirit is a ripple in the branches moving fast. Nin sees you and howls. The Galliard is rarely verbal in her lupus or his bow forms, but she conveys her intent well enough in the primal tongue of the Garou. A thorn of some kind is stuck in Whippoorwill's territory, and Nin must find and remove it, as her Shimanage. In exchange, the Death Spirit will teach Nin the song of the moon path and ensure his safe travels, and she wants your help finding the thorn. We need to heal more of this land. I follow Whippoorwill. You jog to keep up with Nin, who lopes through the winter woods. Following the trilling tweet of Whippoorwill, the Galliard edges around the barrows where you fought David Benicki, back into the woods to a dense copse of trees like where you first met the Whippoorwill. Nin hesitates at the edge of the copse. She retreats, prancing like a nervous pony, and circles around the slope. Something set her off, and Whippoorwill has stopped calling. You step around a tree and see the defiled deer. You again, the deer says. The skin of its face and neck is peeled back, its flanks marked with spiral runes. Small flayed arms, child-sized, dangle from its neck, forming a kind of beard. The little red fists open and close. You recognize the voice because the horse spoke in that voice after you killed the rider back in New York. You're the one who did all this, who ruined David Benicki's great project, who has angered the answering tiger. You must be very proud, but I cannot die, fool. Destroy my host body, and I return to the Umbra, growing stronger. Do you work for the answering tiger? I still need more information about that bane. You still think you're clever, don't you? The deer says. What if I told you? That's when Nin smashes through the dry branches over the deer in her colossal hippo form. The Fomor is dead the moment Nin lands on it, but Nin still picks the thing up by its neck and flings it across a clearing to land in a broken heap on the snow. The little hands make fists and bang against the frozen earth, but the deer is dead, its skull and spine crushed, blood and brains leaking out from what's left of its face. Fool, the bane says, manifesting as a stain in the air over the corpse, like a gas leak rippling in front of the trees. You cannot kill me in any way that... Who is that? Whippoorwill's song carries across the corpse. The bane turns to flee deeper into the umbra, but something darkly radiant opens around it and beneath it. And with a scream, the bane tumbles down into the land of the dead and fades into nothingness. Further investigation reveals a maple sapling warped into the shape of a spike driven deep into the earth. It reminds you unmistakably of the lance the rider carried back in New York, but it's not clear what it was for. Nin has no trouble uprooting and destroying it with her huge claws, and once it's gone, Patton's spiders immediately get to work healing the ripped open walls between this world and the Umbra. You can hear them working for a few minutes, even if they work so quickly that soon you can't see them. The Fomor isn't suppurating. The Fomor isn't a suppurating pile of meat this time. Like with most possessed spirits, it returns to its natural shape at death. The horrible hand tendrils vanish, leaving only a deer that looks like it got hit by a train. Entirely pleased with Nin's chimenage, Whippoorwill explains that he must discuss what he saw with Sumur, the patron spirit of the mysterious Silent Strider tribe, and then he will return to bestow his gift on Nin and teach her the Song of the Moon Path. Sweet. I want to look for Asta, or Astas, that one of the Cult of Fenris flunkies mentioned. You hit Google and eventually zero in on an attorney named Asta. Could this lawyer work with Hoovid Development, the legitimate corporation that the Cult of Fenris is using to move into the valley? Excited, you conjure up a quick fake identity and send emails to the attorney. Search Instagram and Facebook for activity from everyone who works there, and dig around on message boards. You also visit the office's physical location, where you rifle through papers when the secretary isn't looking, ask leading questions, and look for connections. Frankly, you do an amazing job as a sleuth, both online and off. But after a week of work off and on between shifts, none of your phishing attempts yield any incriminating evidence, and you have to admit the truth. This guy's just an normal attorney. A false lead, then. It happens. You text Dalton, tell him what happened so it doesn't duplicate your efforts. I check my phone. Check my bank statements. You're broke right now. The bare minimum in your accounts to avoid penalties and few dollar bills in your pocket. You can't afford to take any days off. Okay, well, let's move on with the next stage of the actual plot, huh? Let's do Melody. Melody Palace. He texts Elton and get a response as he eat breakfast. He's coming over. He arrives in less than half an hour, just as you finish cleaning up, still stubbornly wearing his black frock coat, though today's high is estimated in the upper 70s. Retrieving Melody won't be easy. You know about the Free families, right? The Palaces, the Benickis, and the Lubasics. While your initial experience of the Three families with David Benicki and his horse torture and mutation factory, your subsequent encounters with Lucinda, Hoblin, and Roscoe were much more agreeable. Correct, Elton says. The strange alliance worked well for over a century, and until, well, it's not her fault. Melody, you ask? She was the first guru to emerge out of the Three families, Elton says. The result? Political chaos. And then her sister Harmony demonstrated her own supernatural talents, though she was technically only human. The Silver Fangs were always closer to the Three families than the Shadow Lords, so when Melody joined them, it shifted the balance of power at the Kaon, helped the families gain more control over the Guru, It was a disaster, though it wasn't Melody's fault. Still, she blames herself. It was a fight over Melody? They must have ignored the litany and turned on each other. No, there was a fight that used Melody and her sister Harmony as an excuse, Elton says. The three families have grown increasingly ambitious. They saw the Guru's tools, and temporary ones at that. Werewolves came and went, arrived from outside, and died fighting a worm. But the three families were forever. They tried to use their sisters as leverage over us. Greynail, the leader of the Silver Fangs, was old by then, and he did as he was told. The Shadow Lords fought back. Then the three families betrayed us at the Battle of Graves Farm, and we died. They did too. Small comfort. But we know where Melody is, you ask? Elton nods. She fled when her family died, the Shadow Lord says. North of here, a little nowhere town called Ashfield. Nin scouted it, but she couldn't find Melody, and couldn't explain what was so weird about the town. Weird, you ask? Elton shrugs. Something unnatural is afoot up there. Nin is sensitive, but can't put things into words. She played an Eddie Money song, which doesn't explain anything. This is what happens when Guru aren't there to placate and support the spirits. Spirits get aggressive and strange, and everyone suffers. Smartest thing to do is just head up there, find out what's wrong with Melody, and deal with it face to face. We can go right now if you'd like. It's not as if meticulous planning has ever helped us in the past. I don't want to rush into things. Give me a few days to conduct research. I understand, Eldon says, heading out the door. Let me know when you're ready and I'll get in touch with Nin. It's time to find Podge. I text Elton and Nin. You sure you're ready? His journey to Hollyoak may prove as dangerous and complicated as a trip to Hogthrone to rescue Nin. Sure. I wanted to do something different other than the thing I'd done before. In any case, let's give this a try. Brideshead reloaded. Okay, first everyone read the news links I sent. Spikes bursting through grid. Yeah, AWeb 17. It was very helpful and instructive. Thank you, Elton. Nin, where are we going? Nin, where are we going? Do you know? Hollyoak. I'm not illiterate. I just think most of your books are boring. We'll leave on Friday. I'm playing at Pearl Street on Friday, and I have to work. Saturday? That's fine. What if I fell in love on Friday? La 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 la, clang. Can't play the song in a text. Saturday is good. Good. We'll meet at the skate park. Nin, remember your clothes. Penny, remember your bum bag and some granola bars. Nin and Elton are already waiting at the skate park, though it's still half hour to sunrise. Hollyoak is less than an hour from Northampton by bus, but Nin and Elton both want to scout the woods around Mount Tom, which rises between the two towns. The Shadow Lord has reluctantly abandoned his frock coat in favor of a grey windbreaker and button-down. Still fully dressed, he hurries into the grubby public bathroom to transform. You duck into the graffiti-covered bathroom and stop when you see Elton in his lupus form. His fur is an iridescent purple-black, like an oil slick on midnight seas. It's shockingly unnatural. Is that common among Shadow Lords or a mark of the Stormcat's favour? It's a bother, Elton says. How Elton still has an accent in the primal tongue, you don't understand. You handle your own transformation, and when you get back outside, Nin is loping across the adjoining baseball field, moving with effortless speed and grace across the emerald grass. A swift red wolf, she's no bigger than a coyote. Even in lupus form, Elton manages a frustrated sigh. Nin has forgotten her clothes. The three of you race south, through suburbs, and then through conservation areas, then wild and forgotten forests. After a few minutes, you can't even see Nin. This is her natural form, and her world, and all you can do is keep up with Elton, who appears to be following the Galliard by scent as she sprints all over the slopes of Mount Tom, looking for spirits or other signs of habitation. This place is a desert. It needs a litany, laws, Garou, true civilization. Many humans aware of the Garou believe that they are crude barbarians or aesthetically motivated primitivists. On the contrary, the Garous share a complex, intricate, and, if it could be freed from the talons of decadent elders, vibrant civilization, legal system, and material culture. The litany needs to be restored, rebuilt, and modernized, but not cast aside. This place could thrive again if the Garou would shake off their lethargy and help rebuild it. The three of you enter Hollyoak from the west, first loping across the highway in the early afternoon, then regaining your homeward forms at a dog park. It's already getting hot with all these brick buildings around, so you keep your coat in your bag. I can't believe this, Elton is saying as he stepped back to the bright summer sun. Cool, we talked about this. We had discussions. Nina's still in her lupus form, bushy red tail thumping happily against the asphalt. Elton turns to you. She forgot her clothes again. We need to take the bus into town. She's obviously a red wolf. I can't exactly pretend she's a seeing eye dog, can I? Stop yelling at her, Elton. It's not easy pretending to be a human. This is intolerable, Elton says. Nin, go wander around collecting clothes and try not to get an animal patrol called. We'll meet up at 7 o'clock at the armory. Do you remember the armory? Nin nods and races away. You mark the armory on your phone. Nice kid, Elton muses. But dumber than a greyhound. The bus deposits you on a bleak, sun-baked street surrounded on all sides by brick and concrete buildings, the heart of a decaying industrial town alongside the Connecticut River. The city looks hollowed out, and so do its inhabitants, who seem to scurry over cover like they fear sniper fire. The air smells bad. Old coal, old toxins, 19th century industry lingering on, invisible to poison the young. I'm going to talk to Patrick, Elton says. I don't want to introduce anyone new until I'm sure he's still thinking clearly, you know? Take a gander, see what you can learn about Director Sullivan. And there are rumors that his company Everlight captured something. See if you can learn anything about that. Text me for emergencies. Otherwise, we'll meet at the armory. At 7. What's up with the air in this town? It smells bad and it feels bad. Old coal plant, Elton says. The humans probably don't feel its presence anymore, but we do. We took it down years ago, but its shadows linger. Elton heads deeper into the industrial district. In moments, you're alone in an unfamiliar city. Chapter 4. The Year Made of Glass. Shall I repeat that there are no locked doors? Shall I add that there are no locks? Jorge Luis Borges, The House of Asterion. My friends, I am running out of steam. It's 10:30 at night, and that means it is time to finish up. Whether live or in VODs, thank you very much for joining me on this bonus read a little book of hungry names. I hope to do this again very soon. And I hope you look after yourself and tell the people you love that you love them very much. Not everyone. Hey, happy long weekend.